There are certain moments that don't need sound to resonate. Moments that don't need explanation, don't demand clarification, and don't ask for defense. They just happen, quiet, brief, yet leaving a long vibration in the hearts of anyone who witnesses them. That's the feeling that arises when the camera captures Wang Yibo's change of expression in a split second, just as Xiao Zhan approaches him. There was no dramatic dialogue. There was no staged scene. Yet that reaction spoke louder than any words. Before that moment, everything seemed normal. Wang Yibo stood with an expression that was already familiar to the public. Calm, reserved, professional, as if the world around him was passing by without really touching him. His gaze was straight, his face almost devoid of excessive emotion, like someone who was used to building invisible walls in front of the camera. He appeared to be physically present, but his emotions were neatly tucked away, locked behind strong self-control. Nothing was suspicious. Nothing was special. Until then, Xiao Zhan entered the room. The change was not explosive. It wasn't dramatic. Precisely because of that, it felt so real. In a split second, something shifted. His previously stiff posture softened slightly. His tense shoulders appeared more relaxed. His firm jaw was no longer as tense as before. And most strikingly, those eyes. Wang Yibo's gaze changed. A sparkle appeared suddenly, like a small light that turned on without permission. A reflex too quick to be noticed, yet too honest to be denied. The smile that appeared was not one intended for the camera. It was asymmetrical, imperfect, uncontrived. It was a smile that arose before the mind had time to give the command. A smile that appeared because the body recognized the presence of someone meaningful, even before consciousness had time to catch up. It didn't last long, but it was enough to leave a mark. Long enough to make many people hold their breath. Long enough to trigger thousands of emotions that had been buried all this time. Body language can never completely lie, and that moment was proof of that. There was no touch, but the distance between them felt different. There was no clear greeting, but the atmosphere changed. It was as if the air around them remembered something, as if the space held memories that could not be easily erased. And Wang Yibo's body, unconsciously, responded to that memory in the most honest way possible. When the video clip circulated, time seemed to slow down. Social media was flooded with replays of that same second over and over again. People slowed down the recording, zoomed in on the angle, observed every blink of the eye, every small movement that might have been missed. Not because they were looking for empty thrills, but because there was something there that felt alive. Something that felt too human to ignore. Too emotional to be considered a coincidence. Comments appeared like an unstoppable wave. Some were silent, some were emotional, some laughed at themselves for feeling old feelings again. Many say the same thing in different words. That reaction couldn't have happened without a reason. It wasn't a reaction to just anyone. It wasn't a change that just happened. There was a connection there, in whatever form, whatever name. And that connection, though hidden, still breathed. Time had passed. Distance had been created. Life's path had taken people in different directions. But not all bonds can be erased by the calendar. There are relationships that are buried deeper, stored not only in memory, but in reflexes, in spontaneous responses, in the part of oneself that cannot lie. When two people with a long history are in the same space, the body often remembers faster than the mind. And at that moment, Wang Yibo couldn't hide those memories. The most touching thing about this moment is its silence. There was no clarification afterwards. No official explanation. No words to try to quell speculation. Only silence. But that silence spoke the loudest. It gave space for feelings to emerge, for memories to stir, for long-buried emotions to feel real again. For some, this may have been just a brief moment that was overemphasized. But for those who are sensitive, for those who have followed the long journey of the two, this moment felt like an old heartbeat that suddenly returned. Like a song that hasn't been played for years, but when heard again, the lyrics are still memorized by heart. There is nostalgia. There is warmth. There is a faint but familiar pain. No one knows what that moment meant to Wang Yibo or Xiao Zhan personally. No one has the right to impose meaning. But that spontaneous reaction was enough to show one thing. Not all emotions can be neatly buried. Not all feelings can be completely hidden behind professionalism. There are small cracks that sometimes open accidentally, and from those cracks, honesty flows. In an industry full of control, where every move is often thought out, every expression considered, this kind of honesty feels rare. It appears without a plan, without a script, without protection. And precisely because of that, it feels so powerful, so memorable, so difficult to forget. In the end, the moment may only last a few seconds, but its impact is much longer. It stays in the minds of many people, replaying in their memories, bringing feelings that are difficult to explain with logic. Because sometimes, one change of expression is more honest than 1,000 statements. One spontaneous reaction can reveal more than carefully crafted words. And that is where its power lies. In the honesty that cannot be hidden, in the emotions that escape control, in the brief moment that manages to make the world pause for a moment and feel something real. In the end, there may be no definite answer, no clarification, no confession. All that remains is one small moment, a changed gaze, a softened expression, and a spontaneous reaction captured by the camera before it could be controlled. But that is precisely where the honesty lies. Because true emotions don't always scream. Sometimes they just appear for a moment, then disappear, leaving a mark that is difficult to erase. What do you think? Is this moment truly coincidental? Or is it an old feeling resurfacing unconsciously? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like if you feel the same way. And subscribe so you don't miss out on other emotional stories. See you in the next video. Because sometimes, 1 second of honesty means more than 1,000 words.